4.5 to go before halftime. Doncic on Kawhi. Kawhi with a hand, that claw on his face, and
Kawhi into the rim. Oh my! Hot damn! The Clippers lead.
Look at James Harden loving his teammate.
Well, here we are again. Western Conference first round. Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers. For the third time since 2020. Doesn't really look like much of a rivalry, considering that the Clippers have won the last two playoff matchups against Dallas. Well, you would think that if you haven't been paying much attention. But if you were, you'd know that these two produced the greatest and most exciting games for some reason. Kawhi and PG, two of the best wing defenders and scorers the game has ever seen. LUKA just not giving a crap and dropping 40-point triple-doubles on both their heads. The new dynamics for both teams are really interesting too, with the Clippers now having both Harden and Westbrook starting off poorly but have since been looking golden. The Dallas Mavericks acquired Kyrie Irving and having excellent chemistry with each other and their new bigs. Los Angeles Clippers versus Dallas Mavericks yet again. Kawhi Leonard versus Luka Doncic, Part 3. The rivalry continues. It all started in 2020, Orlando bubble playoffs. Second-year player Luka Doncic pretty much on his own in the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, who are his teammates barring the injured Porzingis? A pre-breakout Jalen Brunson averaging 8 points a game? Tim Hardaway Jr., aka the most consistently inconsistent player in league history? Dorian Finney-Smith, good role player for any team? But Luka, at 20 years old, was going up against the favorites that season, man. The reigning champs and finals MVP Kawhi Leonard, MVP candidate the previous season in Paul George. But he was already so good that people didn't really look at this as a mismatch, man. And the Slovenian Wonder Boy didn't take long in showing the boys what he was capable of. Man averaged 31 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 8.7 assists in 6 games. Need I remind everyone that he was just 20 at the time in his first playoff appearance against the favorites with the two best perimeter defenders in the league? Hell, Luka gave them 42, 7, 9, and 3 steals in his playoff debut. I still don't think he gets enough credit for that. But the Clippers did eventually pull through. The Claw and Playoff P were just too good. And the much better supporting cast of Sweet Lou, Trey Harrell, Mook Morris, and the GOAT Pat Bev proved to be the difference. As good as Luka was that series, Kawhi was cooking Mark Cuban's boys. 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, including 33 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 freaking steals. That's the Claw right there. They would go on to lead the Nuggets in the next round 3-1 with a 16-point lead in the third quarter. Let's not talk about what happened after. Next thing we know, the 2021 playoffs are right around the corner, and the two are much closer in the standings with each other. The Clippers in the 4th spot, Dallas close behind in 5th. Hey, just like this season. Anyway, this series was much more epic, with Tingus Bingus finally turning back into a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. It was way more back and forth, and back and forth. Luka, Kristaps, and the Mavs taking the first 2 games, inspiring a myriad of Luka is the Clippers daddy memes. But again, Kawhi probably saw those and went,
oh, look at this. That's gutsy by Marcus Morris. Look at Kawhi. Is he going to smile? No!
Kawhi countered Luka's 44-point explosion in Game 3 with 36 big points of his own to get a game back. Then they just destroyed the Mavs with a 25-point dub to tie the series, only for the Mavs to take Game 5 with a narrow 5-point win. Luka putting up 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 14 damn assists to offset Tingus Bingus' 9 measly points. But now the Clippers were facing elimination and another playoff humiliation in Game 6. But the Cyborg wasn't having it. 45 big points on Luka and the Mavs' heads to force an epic Game 7, with Luka one-upping Kawhi with 46 points. And more importantly, this meme. But the Clippers' depth proved the difference, with Terrence Mann, Mook Morris, and Luke Kennard complementing their 2 stars on the way to a 15-point win. And now, here we are. Round 3, Luka Doncic versus Kawhi Leonard. Dallas Mavericks versus the LA Clippers. Once again, it's been 3 years. A lot has changed, except for their seedings. So let's take a look at both teams now, starting with the Clippers. Season started off pretty poorly for the Lakers' younger brother, going 0-5 after trading for James Harden. It looks like Harden poisoned another team, and the fit just didn't look right until it did. Now the Clippers are looking damn dangerous again. If anything, this is probably the most dangerous I've seen them since 2020. Kawhi Leonard averaging 24, 6, and 3, shooting 52% from the field and a fantastic 41.7% from 3. PG is having a relatively good year too, 23, 5, and 4 this year. The main difference of this Clippers from the Clippers a few months ago though is James Harden, taking on more of that facilitator role like he did in Brooklyn with KD and Kai, 17, 5, and 6 from the beard as the point guard of the team, really embracing that role. Similarly, Westbrook has embraced his role as a team's sixth man and energy guy off the bench. Much better than when he was with the Lakers. The Brody is putting up 11, 5, and 5 this season. Aside from those 4 though, the Clippers are looking pretty deep. Normal Powell has been as great as he always has been for the Clips, putting up 14 on 44% from 3. Zubac, similarly consistent as the team's log-time starting center. Guys like Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, Bones Highland just dropped 37 on the Suns a few days ago. Thies, Mason Plumlee, Rocco, all good rotational options that make up the Clippers' well-rounded team. Let's talk about the Mavs now. Of course, Luka Doncic, actually making probably his strongest case for MVP. And to be honest, it's about time. This man is averaging 34 points, 9.8 assists, and 9.2 rebounds, which is, quite frankly, ridiculous. And people had to point out how absolutely ridiculous this crap was before his MVP bid got any traction, because he probably wasn't even in the top 3 about a month or 2 ago. A stat line of 33 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists is a career night for most players. It's a great, well-rounded game for an all-star or all-NBA type player. For Luka, a stat like this is technically an off game. Quite frankly, ridiculous. But he's also got probably the best and most clutch teammate that he's ever had by his side, Uncle Drew, Kyrie Irving. He's putting up typical Kyrie stats of 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 49, 41, 90 splits. Now, Kai's not only Luka's best teammate today, he's also someone capable of raising his game in the playoffs. But we knew that already. One of the most talented and most clutch players this game has ever seen. Both things we just witnessed a few weeks ago against the Nuggets.
Looking in for Irving. Irving for the win!
And he just recently had a 48-point explosion against the Rockets. He's someone who can take over games if he wanted to, but he's also excellent at playing off-ball, like how he did in Brooklyn. If Kyrie elevates his game to a level where everyone knows he can, well, Uncle Drew might just be the X factor that can help Luka Magic finally prevail against the Clips. Despite all that I've just said though, they're also surrounded by a pretty good supporting cast too. Sure, it's not literally 2 former MVPs, but the fit is still really good. Tim Hardaway Jr., I think he's literally the most inconsistent player I've ever seen, but he's pretty good. He still provides great spacing for the duo. 15 points on 36% from beyond the arc. Nothing to be sniffed at. 2 really important role players for them are PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, really stepping up and improving this season. PJ being that stretch 4, Gafford being that finisher inside. And another piece, Derek Lively, Mavs' collapse last season proved to be a blessing in disguise, because they got to keep their pick, who turned out to be this great defensive anchor who can also finish. Derek Jones Jr. is also a good lob threat for the 2 stars.
Luka on the floor, finds Kyrie. Fantastic!
Dante Exum is playing good basketball again.
Bullock pressuring, a 3 will tie it, and hand off to Luka. Back to Exum! Got it!
8, 3, and 3 in his redemption year, and the Mavs as a team are just looking like they've figured it out. They're currently on a 16-2 run, and if they continue on this trajectory, they might just be the dark horses that they were made out to be. And if they are, and all goes well, what would a ring mean for Luka and the Mavs? Well, the Mavs would get their second title in franchise history, again because of a generational European talent. They also became the lowest-seeded NBA champion since Hakeem's Rockets in 1995. LUKA gets his first ring and Finals MVP and stirs talk of him possibly being a top 10, maybe even top 5 player in NBA history. KAWHI gets his second ring, proving he can win without LeBron, though not as a Batman. Jason Kidd gets a ring as a coach with the same team that he got his only ring with as a player. That's what could happen if the Mavs get to the promised land. But what if the Clippers go 3-0 in the playoffs against the Mavs and go on to win the 2024 NBA Finals? The Clippers will finally win their first championship after so many goddamn playoff chokes and disappointments. They finally get out of the Lakers' shadow, kinda. And it's a perfect farewell to the Staples Center, now the Crypto.com Arena. As they move to their shiny new home, KAWHI will most likely win Finals MVP, making him a 3-time champion with 3 Finals MVPs, joining my only sunshine LeBron James as the only players in NBA history to do so. PG gets his first ring and erases all painful memories of the Heatles. Westbrook and Harden also get their first rings at the twilight of their careers and also erases the painful memories of the Heatles of 2012. Ty Lue gets his second ring, and kinda like Kyrie, Will also gets his second ring and his first without LeBron. But all of that's just wishful thinking too. Before we get to that, both gotta get past each other first. And with 4 to 5 matchups, they're always the toughest to call, because they're the most equal teams on the first round. But this series is particularly difficult to predict. You've got the Clippers, who's got a better team on paper, you know, with 2 MVPs and 2 Finals MVPs between them. But the Mavs look like their abilities and their chemistry is peaking at the right time. We've seen what momentum can do for lower-seeded teams, like the Lakers and Miami last year, and KAWHI and PG could barely cope with a less dominant Luka Doncic before. So a more dominant Luka, with a killer like Uncle Drew by his side, and some nice fitting pieces to go along, they might just have what it takes to get over that Clipper-sized hump. Now, who do you think would win in this series? Share your beautiful thoughts in the comment section.